Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode of the Luminary Podcast. I am your host, Annie Perry, professional, psychic, channel, spirituality, teacher, manifestation, and co-creation teacher. It is lovely, as always, to be here back with all of you divine beings of light. Thank you for being here on Earth with me during this time of our glorious ascension. So today I'm going to be sharing part 1 of a channeled text called What is Lightbody? And this was channeled from Archangel Ariel through Tashira Tachi-Ren and several other angelic walk-ins who had a part in the co-creation of this channeled text and many of their other services through the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. And what is so fascinating about this text is that no matter what point in time, space that you read it or receive it, you are going to receive exactly what you need from it, and it's going to be exactly relevant to you. So even though a lot of the dates are going to be 1990, 1994, 2007, and they discuss the different stages of the light bodies on Earth and the ascension on Earth and different angelic templates and plans for Earth, as well as, of course, the 12 stages of light body activation and awakening, you'll be able to look at your own life and say, oh, I remember when I was at this stage or that stage, or I think that I am in this certain stage of light body awakening right now. They also give so much information about the ascension, about the templates for Earth, about ascension symptoms and their recommendations for what to do, which are highly unique and none of them I had tried before, but also highly effective. So I'm very excited to be able to share this with you guys. This book had a direct activation in my own life. If you feel called to read it, it's a book that you can pick up on Amazon or wherever you order your books from. As always, I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I am just here to also be a channel and to share channeled wisdom with the collective and with my community. And my experience with Archangel Ariel has been absolutely supernatural. They have been in my life for years at this point without me having any direct awareness of them or knowing their name. And now we are not only working together and obviously co-creating this podcast for you, they have asked me to read this channeled text and guided me on which portions of the text to read to you. But I have also had the pleasure and the honor of being able to directly channel them for you guys in several of your own activations they came through because they are directly connected with you and had messages for you. So in the activations, especially the June activations that I did, they were very present in several of those and sent through messages and activation into your light body. And then just recently, during the solstice event, we co-created that event together. They came through and guided me into a full light body activation with you guys. And then I was able to trans-channel a bunch of messages from them. Those messages and their answers to your guys' questions, it just blew me away. I know it blew you guys away. You guys, we were just sitting there with like our hair blown back afterwards and just feeling so connected to the truth of who we are, to the source, to the highest expression, to highest truth, highest love. It was just so incredibly profound. So you can get the replay of that event if you are feeling connected to them and you want to experience that live channeling. That is available on wellspringofficial.com, and it's called Solstice, the Age of Light. And that is the title that they channeled through me for the event. Now, just briefly, I want to talk about how they have been in my life unawares to me, because of course I love this part of awakening. About 2 years ago, I started working with one of my mentors, And she was going very rapidly through different stages of higher ascension and highest light body awakening and activation. And so she was awakening and unfolding, and I was having many experiences and activations with her. And I always felt the complete purity of presence being channeled through her. And I would often sit and wonder, and I would be like, I wonder who she is. I wonder, like, is she probably an ascended master and doesn't have awareness of it yet? At first, I thought maybe she was one of the Magdalens because she just had this incredible Christ love energy pouring out of her at all times. And she's one of my mentors that literally glows because of how much crystalline light is filling her body at all times. And it wasn't until this year, in fact, just a few months ago, that she said, I no longer identify as my old name. My true name has been revealed to me, and it is Ariel. And at the time, I thought, wow, that's very beautiful. That is very fitting for her. I feel that presence coming through her. And I knew that El is usually at the end of most of the archangels' titles and what they use for names on our planet. And El is simply a Hebrew light code word that means God or the Most High. And that is all of us. And yet we get to points where we truly recognize the God self within us and our true power, which is called highest truth. Now, rewind back 2 summers ago, right about the time when that mentor had started to come into my life, I was listening to a podcast, and I really want to point out this podcast for you guys because Brian has had such a profound impact on my life and my work. And you guys often ask me, what do I listen to? And at this point in my journey, Brian's podcast is the only one that I currently listen to. That might change in the future, but at this moment in time, his podcast is the only one that I have been listening to for about a year now. I have not brought in any other kind of outside external interference. I've tried to keep my own work and my own channel very clean and pristine and in a very high frequency so that I'm able to do what I came here to do. So without further ado, Brian Scott's podcast called The Reality Revolution. He has an episode, and I don't know that any of them are numbered. I do listen to them on YouTube, so I'm sure on the other podcast apps they're numbered, but he has an episode called The 12 Stages of Light Body Awakening. And I came across very divinely that episode about 2 summers ago, and I remember listening to it while I was laying in the grass in my backyard. I felt such an incredible activation moving through my entire body. I felt the highest truth. I felt that, yes, I know this information, even though my ego does not recognize it, my soul immediately recognized it. And it really is an incredible episode. I recommend it to everyone. I've posted it on my Instagram stories several times and encouraged you guys to listen to it because you really receive a very high frequency activation when receiving those transmissions. Now, a few months ago, I was thinking about that episode and I was like, I would really like to re-listen to that because it had such a profound impact on me. And what's funny is, at first, I could not find the episode. Couldn't find it anywhere. I didn't know the name of it. I just knew that I would know it when I saw it. And I couldn't find it anywhere, and so I didn't get to listen to it that day. And a few days later, I'm looking through my saves on YouTube, and it pops up right there. And so I knew that I had been kind of redirected to listen to it at exactly the right time. And what I wanted to get from that episode is I wanted to get the text that Brian had been reading from. And he read portions of it and portions of another book, and I think some of it was his own channeled messages as well. So it is different than what I'm going to be sharing with you over the course of this episode and the next one. But when I found the episode again, I saw in his notes and it said that one of the books he had been reading from was called What is Lightbody by Tashira Tachi-Ren. So I ordered the book and I read the whole thing in like 3 days. huge energetic upgrade and shifts and memory unlocked, and I knew that I had to share it with you guys here. And that's when Ariel came back into my frequency and started channeling and communicating with me and desiring to co-create together. So I am very, very honored and also just excited to share this with you guys and to hear what you guys think and receive from this channeled text called What is Lightbody? Tashira Tachi-Ren walked into the body on July 11th, 1985, and walked out of the body on December 17th, 1997. With an eternal essence of divine will and a divine function of the holographic harmonization, her divine design was perfectly suited to embody the vision of and be the primary channel for the Council of Ein Soph. On July of 1989, Tashira and Suzanne Coronis formed Angelic Outreach to be the first physical plane expression of the Council's vision of multi-universal ascension. A core group of beings aligned to the Council's vision gradually formed. The Lightbody model described in this book, as well as the unified chakra, are the basis of all other angelic outreach foundational material. During Tashira's 12 years on planet, she brought through a tremendous amount of information, conducted workshops, events, created many audio tape sets, and developed the angelic outreach potions. Our purpose as a group has always been to develop and distribute new tools and technology for the Council of Ein Soph. All of us experienced tremendous growth working with her techniques. When Tashira walked out in December 1997, those of us who were the core group of Angelic Outreach were faced with the decision of how to best carry on the work she started. Initially, we kept the same name and structure she gifted to us. However, in order to bring in new techniques and tools, we needed to expand beyond the original vision and structure of Angelic Outreach. Angelic Outreach as an organization no longer exists. This model of Lightbody and the invocations are just as valid and moving as when they were first presented in 1990. In 1995, Ariel revised What is Lightbody? This is both an exciting and trying time in the planetary ascension process. The mutations are coming more rapidly, and consciousness must evolve ever more quickly. Every day brings more opportunities for becoming more awake and in love with spirit, as well as more opportunities for confusion and limitation. You are completely at choice about what you will make real in your life. Every decision you make affects the ascension process, as do everyone else's. From my viewpoint, we are here to co-create heaven on earth with God itself and with the God self within all other beings. No greater honor has ever been bestowed upon a species. This is an invocation by Aliyah Zayandra, who was the last inhabitant of the body. Choose to see the pure soul within all beings, even though they may not see it within themselves. Choose to honor the sovereign reality of all beings, even though their words or actions may hurt you. Choose to transform through ecstasy and grace, even though drama and trauma may seem more natural to you. Choose to live in the miraculous now moment, even though nostalgia, regrets, and fear may entice you to not be present. Choose to be a blessing to the world and all life, even though circumstances may encourage you to harden your heart. Choose to love others, even though it may seem naive. Choose to love God with all your being and know that this is all that is really required. Choose to live heaven. This section is called Onward. What is Lightbody? was written in one reality, revised in another, and now has come into your hands in yet a third reality. The information in this book is as powerful and relevant as when it was first written. This book and all of the tools and technologies created by the Council of Ein Soph were designed to hold continuity with each phase of the Ascension. Archangel Ariel always talked about this planet's ascension as a 3-part process. She said that these tracks would be created by controlled parallel reality splits and then parallel ascensions. In 2007, we are in the 3rd phase of the ascension called the redemption track. To know where you are, it is sometimes helpful to know where you have come from. In March of 1988, Lightbody was activated on planet Earth. This created the first parallel reality called the initiation track. The dormant clock in each Lightworker's DNA went off and called you to wake up and remember. This initiated the process of Lightbody mutation described in this book. In this track, everything seemed to be changing at light speed, and there was a constant feeling of impending ascension. The first Council of Ein Soph program, embodied by Tashira Tachi-Ren, was downloaded in July 1989. It was called Angelic Outreach, and it laid the foundation for all of the Council's work. When the Council wants to insert a new holographic program into the existing reality, it is best if a Council member walks in to embody the program. This creates a stable anchor for the new program while the pre-existing reality mutates to accommodate it. What is Lightbody, the book, was written in the initiation track. On October 15th, 1991, in a controlled parallel reality split, the initiation track created a new parallel reality called the coordination track. The planetary consciousness requested the split because she wanted to experience a higher degree of light than the overall population could tolerate. The planet had a handful of Lightworkers split with the initiation track. The feeling of being in the coordination track was a huge shock to many Lightworkers. This was especially true for those who went with the initiation track and also split into the coordination track. Lightbody levels were at 10th and were turned back to 7th level Lightbody. Also, the etheric crystals were put back into everyone's blueprints. This was to help alleviate the shock of the split. Angelic Outreach continued in the 2nd track. After a controlled reality split, the original track remains in the hologram for a few years before it ascends out. This helps to create continuity between the two parallel realities. On May 30th, 1994, the initiation track ascended out of the planetary hologram. This was destabilizing to the coordination track. Originally, Tashira Tachi-Ren was scheduled to walk out in 1995. Because of the destabilization and because Tashira did not feel her work was complete, the walkout was postponed until 1997. Still, portions of the Council's next program needed to be brought into the hologram. So the initial information about the Phoenix of Yah, also called the Heavenly Merkava, was channeled through Tashira. On December 17, 1997, Tashira Tachi-Ren walked out, and Rapture Elohim walked in. Elohim do not have an I self. They do not have identity. They are a divine force. In other words, rapture is a verb, not a noun. Therefore, a personality construct was created for her called Aliyah Merkava Zayandra, so that she could interface with the world. She embodied the Wings of Glory program from the Council. She brought in the rest of the Phoenix Merkava teachings and all of the Bennu initiations. The second controlled parallel split happened on September 17th through 19th, 2001. I'm going to say that again, September 17th through 19th, 2001. The coordination track split off and created the third parallel reality called the redemption track. Once again, it knocked many Lightworkers way off center. As with most of the Lightworkers, your spirit probably decided that it would be best for you to go back to sleep. Once again, the light body levels were at 10th and were turned back to 7th level light body. Even with the split occurring slowly over 3 days, the light level regression and the events of 9/11, many Lightworkers felt traumatized by the split. Most members of the last 2 walk-in waves failed to launch and remained confused and immersed in the karma game. We know how difficult it has been for you who are assigned to this parallel reality. Remember that these are the energies that are too dense to ascend out. With the 2 previous parallel reality tracks, you are releasing the deepest of the trapped light. The coordination track ascended on June 19, 2005. So that's just one of the tracks. In January 2006, Aliyah, also known as Rapture Elohim, realized that she could no longer hold the physical body. After 9 years, the body needed to mutate in a way that she, as an Elohim, did not have the structures to sustain. The planet and the keepers still needed Rapture to remain accessible at this dimension, so she agreed to stay. But a new being needed to walk in and embody the last Ascension program. It was determined that access to the memories, abilities, and perceptivities of all previous occupants would be ideal. After much discussion, the Council decided to initiate a unique experiment. Therefore, in the first 9 months of 2006, this body experienced 3 very slow walk-ins. Each one took 6 weeks to complete and another 6 weeks to integrate. The first physical integration had to happen rapidly. Therefore, Tashira Tachi-Ren, in her angelic aspect, Ariel, would be the first walk-in. Because she has lived here before, she would have virtually no learning curve. So she exited recently, and then she came back into the body. She started January 1st, and her walk-in completed February 15th, 2006. In the beginning of March 2006, the body got sick. The personality construct of Aliyah slowly dismantled, and she gradually shifted back into a pure Rapture Elohim perspective. In the beginning of April 2006, Ariel, the birth occupant, began her walk-in. When she was incarnate, she was a very gifted psychic. She is the Council's expert on preparing bodies and lifetimes for walk-ins who come from a strong other-dimensional, other-universal, or extraterrestrial orientation. Her walk-in process completed May 15, 2006. On July 1st, the final walk-in phase began, and I, Raziel, came in gracefully over the next 6 weeks. My walk-in process completed August 15th, 2006. As Zara Ziel Yovel, I am the embodier of the third Ascension program for the Council of Ein Soph, Traveling Light. It downloaded into this body with my walk-in. I handle the day-to-day life as well as focus on the other's perspectives and abilities into this now moment of time and space. This allows Ariel, Eloriel, and Rapture Elohim to remain in their purest expressions. In daily life, I am 85%, and each of the others is 5% of the mix. In April 2007, the Traveling Light program was downloaded into the hologram. Most of you felt the impending shifts in this holographic reality when the program was downloaded. It felt as if everyone took a collective sigh of relief. Throughout the summer and into the fall, Lightworkers were taken into 8th level light body. From the 14th to the 28th of September 2007, there was a great push to take as many Lightworkers as possible into and through the 9th level Lightbody disillusionment. We saw that most went into 9th, but many have lingered there. We hope to see the majority in 10th by 2008. The planet herself is in 9th. This little book is gold. Across 3 ascension tracks, it has brought clarity, alleviated fear, and created continuity. As of 2007, the Traveling Light program is still in the process of translation into words and full manifestation. I am so excited to be in service on Earth. I look forward to meeting and working with you and all of the Lightworker transition teams. In D Light, Zarazael Yovel. So Zarazael was the last occupant of that body. And as they stated before, the original birth occupant was named Eloriel. And so when Angelics want to have this kind of walk-in experience, they would send someone who is an expert in preparing bodies and lifetimes for walk-ins, which would be an occupant like Eloriel, and then Eloriel would go through her own awakening process and allow the walk-ins of those higher embodiments. And again, this is purely just for your own spiritual edification and knowledge. I truly feel that all of the words in this book have a very high transmission of light, so it is much less about understanding what the hell they're talking about and much more just about receiving the activation. Here is a little bit more about Zarazael before we get into the next session. She is an embodiment of Archangel Raziel. Raziel means the mystery of El. Her essence is divine composition, and her function is elegant metamorphosis. Her rhythm is like a steady and strong heartbeat. Her clarion call is awe of the perfection of the ineffable. She appears to balance everything that she comes in contact with. Zarazael embodies the final ascension program from the Council of Ein Soph called Traveling Light. So all of these ascension programs or the split parallel reality tracks that they're talking about, all of this has to do with the hologram that we experience as Earth. So they rarely refer to it as like the Matrix, they refer to it as the hologram. That is how they see and experience it. We know that Elohim are the architects of universes, and when they are creating a new planet that needs a hologram or a Matrix experience for souls to incarnate into, it is the responsibility of the archangel groups and councils to construct the basis of those holograms. Once the inhabitants of a planet start to occupy it, they will create their own karma or bring karma to the planet that will then begin to mutate the hologram or matrix as we call it. And I've said before that there's nothing to fear about the matrix because you are a participant every day in the creation of the matrix. And it is through changing ourselves and our perception that we literally change the hologram and bring it into higher and higher light, which is ascension. If there was no matrix and no hologram, we could not incarnate into our bodies. And incarnation is something that we continue to do all the way through 4th and 5th density consciousness. All right, moving on to the next section. On May 30th, 1994, a dramatic shift occurred in the divine plan for planet Earth. The entire time frame for planetary ascension was accelerated. In the beginning of June, many of you experienced the surfacing of intense survival fear, enemy patterning, and old pictures of reality from your physical bodies. These energies were emerging out of your genetic encodements. It was as if God had reached into your body and was pulling out the fear and separation by the roots. Old physical traumas or illnesses may have briefly reappeared. Time accelerated, and many of you feel frustrated about completing projects. The levels described in the Lightbody model are still valid. Moving through these mutational stages can take many years or a few minutes, depending on the will of the spirit. These levels are not a measurement of personal spiritual achievement. Your spirit determines your appropriate light body level, depending on your divine design, your incarnational grid within the hologram, and what is needed to serve the planetary ascension. Truly, Lightbody is about the evolution of this species and the collective service to all life. If you look at this planet from the viewpoint of your oversouls, you see its entire Alpha-Omega cycle, from its beginning to its end of time, and zillions of parallel realities across space. You are incarnate parts of the oversouls and have many lifetimes throughout the space-time fabric simultaneously. We call this your holographic grid of incarnations. From the viewpoint of the oversouls, these lives are all happening now and are points of coordination for restructuring the hologram of this planetary game of separation. The entire space-time construct is contained in a membrane that we call a holographic bubble. This bubble of third-dimensional realities is currently 3/4 of the way through the fourth dimension and is rising rapidly. The bubble is collapsing and dissolving. People are having many different responses to these changes. To help you understand this, we have a parable for you. Imagine that once upon this time, there is a sealed fishbowl made of one-way glass inside of a large aquarium. The fish in the aquarium can see into the bowl, but the fish in the bowl cannot see out. Their fishbowl is their only reality. Imagine that the large aquarium is filled with salt water and anemones, crabs, and all kinds of wondrous fishes. The fishbowl is filled with fresh water and goldfish. The glass of the fishbowl is getting thinner and thinner. Small amounts of salt water are seeping through, and the goldfish must evolve very fast to handle this change in their environment. As the walls grow thinner, the goldfish begin to get glimpses of the creatures in the aquarium. Some of the goldfish see these other fishes as the enemy and fiercely try to defend their bowl from imminent invasion. They see the anemones as evil and accuse other goldfish of being anemone influenced. These goldfish hide their personal fear by projecting a climate of fear around them. Some of the goldfish assume that the fishes in the aquarium have been controlling their fishbowl all along. They see themselves and the other goldfish as hapless victims. They assume that the creatures on the other side of the glass have kept them in the fishbowl just so they could be eaten someday. As their bowl dissolves, they meet each passing day with dread. Some of the goldfish see the fishes on the other side of the glass as holy, all-powerful superiors. These goldfish relinquish all inner authority and wildly swing from feeling especially chosen to feeling worthless. They try to interpret hidden messages from their masters and base their actions and beliefs on these messages. They swim here and there in the fishbowl, creating lots of ripples, but no lasting effects. Some of the goldfish see the other creatures as brethren and marvel at the miraculous variations the great fish has used to express itself. These goldfish know that the evolution of their species, the dissolving of their bowl, and even the reactions of fear, martyrdom, and unworthiness in the other goldfish are in the fins of the great fish. They follow the spirit of the great fish with each gill and each fin. They experience ecstasy as they prepare to swim in vaster waters. So the holographic bubble is collapsing, at times causing massive parallel mergers numbering in the tens of thousands per minute. Linear time is collapsing as it evolves towards a simultaneous time structure known as the infinite now. Linear space is expanding as it evolves towards simultaneous space, also called infinite presence. Parallel mergers are often disorienting. Lots of dizziness, shaking, shimmering visions, and breaches of continuity. Knowing that the parallel mergers in mid-October 1994 would shift people's light body levels and could be so intense that it could collapse the bubble, an experiment was conducted. We stimulated the complex standing waves of subatomic structures to accept standing waves from a higher dimension. This allowed the subatomic wave motions in separate parallels to be synchronized into controlled interference patterns. The result was smooth intensification of manifested light and gentle cancellation of abrasive discontinuities. The holographic bubble was not destabilized. It was actually strengthened. This means that the final collapse will be much smoother. We will synchronize the complex standing waves of this reality with the standing waves of the high astral plane, and then with those of the higher dimensions. The dimensional transitions will be less of a shock. Instead, it will be more of a dreamlike experience. We think that everyone will notice the shift nonetheless. In mid-October, without much of the usual drama, the majority of Lightworkers moved into 10th level Lightbody, and the overall population moved into 8th level. Many of you, including Tachi-Ren, have complained about the lack of fireworks from this shift. We too want people to notice what is happening. Although our primary interest is not to destabilize the bubble prematurely, we will try to increase the intensity of experience from future mergers. As Spirit is placing you into a new positioning with regard to the Ascension, many of you are feeling complete with your work on this plane. Allow old forms and models to gracefully drop away. A new form is evolving. You may find that you are more expressive, or that you must be wildly creative. There are 2 songs out on the airwaves that sum up most of what you are feeling. The first is, "All I want to do is have some fun, and I think that I'm not the only one." And the other is, "Bring it on, don't wait until tomorrow." Which fish are you? Are you busy fighting the enemy? Have you pulled out your light sword and are righteously battling the secret government, the Greys, the dark forces, etc.? Does this truly match your vision of heaven on earth? Are you focused on extraterrestrials trying to control the earth? Are you participating with pictures of reality that hold that humankind are victims or dupes or a colonized food source? How does this mesh with the view that each person is a vast, multi-dimensional master? Have you exchanged your connection with your own spirit for one with a guru, an ascended master, or even a channeled entity? The entire universe will rearrange itself to accommodate your pictures of reality. What do you want? Really? Your spirit is shifting your positioning in relation to Ascension. Allow the sweetness of transfiguration to fill your soul. Follow your own beloved spirit with each breath and each step. Live heaven. Of the source in service to the source. That message is from the Council of Ein Soph. This next section is from Tashira Tachi-Ren and Ariel. It is impossible to express truth in any earthly language. You can only describe realities. I view reality as a verb, not a noun. There is no one great reality with a capital R. It is a constantly shifting co-creation of intersecting individual realities, each absolutely unique. I choose to operate within a reality that planet Earth is ascending into the light dimensions through joy and laughter. Also, you should know that no channel is 100% accurate. After all, this and all channeled information comes through a filter of human perceptions. So if something in these pages rings true for you, then it was your truth all along. If it doesn't, lovingly release it back to the universe. It's just another opinion. I and my work group ask that you not create me, Ariel, or any channeled entity as an outside authority. You are the only authority over what is real and true in your life. Angelic outreach was designed to support incarnate lightworkers to awaken to their multidimensional vastness, embody divinity, and to lighten up the planet. In its earthly form, AO created new technologies, techniques, and articulations for the co-creation of heaven on earth. With the publication of this book, AO's work is complete. There are 383 ascending planets in 5 local universes, one of which is planet Earth. As a Lightworker, you are probably incarnate on all of them. Angelic outreach in its vastness is a multidimensional, multi-universal program of full merger with Source. Through all our incarnations, we act like connective tissue between universes, stars, and planets. We help coordinate the various planetary ascension programs within each universe, as well as assist the merger of several universes into one. It acts as the bridge between all of the creations, joining the many with the one. I am a conscious, merged channel for higher light beings. I expand my consciousness multidimensionally and merge with the vastness of my own spirit. From there, I merge with my work group of 24 light beings, and all of us channel back through my physical body. This is quite an experience, as you can imagine. My relationship with the crew, as I call my work group, is as an equal. We are co-creative masters, beings of light, and we see you as light masters also. In this crew, Archangel Ariel usually functions as a Lightbody theoretician. She articulates the Lightbody process, creating models, technologies, and meditations to support the ascension at every level. As one of these embodied aspects of the crew, I function as a channel for the group's energies and as a hands-on Lightbody technician. So the what is Lightbody model presented here is Ariel's gig. And I think she does it quite well. We are ecstatic and grateful that so many of you will be able to receive this material for the first time. May your journey into the light be the path of joy. Of the Source, in service to the Source, Tashira Tachi-Ren. Before we move on to the next section, I just want to say that I really, really love how much they bring it back to your highest truth. You are Source. You are God. It is your soul, your oversoul, having all of these simultaneous experiences, and you get to decide for you. This is not about them having authority over you, and that's not why we use the term master. The term master for ascended masters, light masters, is that you have mastered an aspect of yourself. You have mastered a certain ray of your own divinity. That's what makes you a master. And no one has authority over you besides you. This next section is a message by Archangel Ariel. When we look at you, we see you as vast, multidimensional beings. There's just a little bit of you in this body, thinking that you are all of it. Some of you are getting an inkling that that is not so. We see you at all dimensions in the vastness of who you are. From our viewpoint, you are a light worker, and you are here with a job to do. You are here to assist in the transition of planet Earth into light. You've done it countless times before, and you are an expert in your field. This book presents you with a model, which describes what's going on in this process for the planet. It is not truth. It is not real, because when you are attempting to describe a multidimensional nonlinear model, it's impossible to describe it in the English language. But we're going to do our very best. If at times it bounces around, just bear with us, because the process itself is not exactly linear. It's a lot more like music. Now, the only way we can present this model is linearly. We have attempted to do it non-linearly, and everyone goes brain dead. We hope that you can feel the shifts you're going through. We know that if your mental body can say, this is part of 8th level Lightbody, it eases the secret fears. There is a need for this information to go out because the fear level is so very high, especially coming from the physical and mental bodies. If you know what's happening to you and know that it's part of a coherent process, then you feel less crazy. Every time a planet goes to light, it is a unique expression of returning home from the experience of separation. The process differs depending on the particular planet and species that's going to light. This model is for the human species on planet Earth. There are 383 other planets also going to light simultaneously, and most of you are incarnate on most of them. This planet is special, however, because it has experienced the maximum separation from the source, and now it is returning. It will be successful. There is absolutely no doubt that this planet's return to the source will be successful, and there will be no apocalypse in this parallel reality. There was a time when we were not so sure that this planet would be able to go home. But now we are celebrating the certainty of a safe return. Now, a species can ascend or go to light without the planet ascending. You are not the first species to ascend from this planet. There have been 4 other races before you. What makes this particular process so exquisitely wonderful is that planet Earth is ascending also. She is a conscious, living entity who agreed to support this game of separation on the condition that she would ascend at its conclusion. We'd like to mention the exquisiteness of this game as it returns to the source. The beauty of your divine expression as you return is so wondrous for us to watch. Even though you stepped away from the source for what is to us truly only a brief time, your reunification is one of the most exquisite energies in the universe. We look forward to you consciously experiencing this for yourselves. Because we exist in simultaneity, we have already seen you enjoy your reunification, and we look forward to sharing your joy when you catch up with yourselves. I would also like to mention that the measurement for our model of Lightbody comes from looking at the amount of adenosine triphosphate in the cells. We measure Lightbody levels from your physical body's level of mutation. Now, Angelic Outreach has gotten several calls from folks declaring that they are in 12th level Lightbody. We have told them that within this model, that can't be so. In this model, if you were in 12th level Lightbody, you wouldn't be able to pick up a telephone because you would be so fully in light and not in this dimension. Now, you can have many levels of consciousness, and your mind and your consciousness can go many places. But what you are ascending is your physical body, and that's why we measure it from there. I knew that if I articulated this model linearly and in levels, that many of your human egos would involve themselves with, I'm more evolved than you or anyone else, those type of games. Please remember that each level is different and essential. No level is better than another. Finally, we'd like to thank you for being present on the planet at this time. You came here knowing that you would have to go to sleep. You'd have to deny everything that you are, forget everything that you know, and be unrecognizable to yourselves and each other. We have the easy job. We never step away from the source or experience separation from spirit. So we honor you for what you are doing and feel honored to work with you. Ariel. So one of the questions that I channeled with Ariel was, is it possible now in 2024, 30 years after she sent that message, is it possible now for individuals to be in 11th and 12th level Lightbody? 30 years ago, she said that you wouldn't be able to pick up a phone because you would be so much spirit and there would be not enough matter. And her answer today is, yes, it is highly possible for an individual to be in 11th or 12th level Lightbody. In fact, you are moving at such an accelerated rate of ascension that a new model would be needed to fully disclose everything that you are experiencing on the planet in this now moment. However, you will still receive much guidance and wisdom and be able to pinpoint certain areas of where you are at with your light body levels and ascension through this older model. The frequencies on the planet have risen so that it is possible to be in such an ascended state, such as we have described in 11th and 12th level light body. But we will conclude with, there are very, very few on your planet who are fully embodying those levels even now. But perhaps some of you are just in time, or perhaps those levels are calling your name. Perhaps it is you that will stabilize those frequencies on this planet in the coming times. All right, let's move into this final section. What is Lightbody? As you probably know, this planet is in a state of ascension. Its frequency is rising at a very rapid rate, and it is losing density. Matter, as you know it from the third dimension, is densification of light. That densification is beginning to drop off, and the vibratory rate of each and every one of you, as well as the entire planet, is rising. It's a pretty exciting process. When you have a process of densification, such as that occurring in your universe, you reach a point when it's gone to maximum separation from the purest forms of light. At that point of maximum separation, a shift occurs, and the planet begins to reverse its process and start on what we would term a homeward route. i.e., back to the 1 point. There are 7 to 8 million Lightworkers on the planet at this point in 1995, what some have called planetary transition teams. Each one of you is a Lightworker. You are here with a special purpose, special skills, and special delights. Many of you are specialists in assisting planets in ascension, having done it thousands and thousands of times. Each time that a planet ascends, it's a unique process, the process of reunification. And the joy of reunification is expressed differently depending on how the game was played. This game was one of the greatest possible separation from spirit you could have. It was very successful. But the game, as you know it, is now changing, and it began its process to change officially in March 1988. At that point, what we call activation to first level Lightbody occurred for most Lightworkers. That was like a little bell going off in your DNA structure that said, Yahoo, it's time to go home. And it began the process of mutation and change. While this is very joyful most of the time, sometimes it can be a little difficult. But it's a process that all of you have gone through before. What makes the game interesting is the question, how should I do it this time? What energies, emotions, and delight will I express in the path of reunification? What we call the in-breath and the out-breath of the source has occurred many, many times. And this particular in-breath will have its own unique expression and delight. As this planet and all other planets return to the 1 point. This planet is in a state of transition to light, or a process of ascension. It is a gradual process. You are not matter one day and light the next day. Everyone is in the process, and many of you are at least halfway. Good to know. The dimensions. First, let me briefly describe the various dimensions or planes of existence in our model. We use a 12-dimensional model, and you, sitting here in a physical body, exist in the 3rd dimension. It's matter-based. The 4th dimension is what's called the astral plane. It's basically emotionally based. Together, these two make up what we call the lower creation world. These are the dimensions where the game of separation is carried out. These are the only dimensions in which the illusion of good and evil can be maintained, and in which you can feel separated from spirit and from each other. You've all become quite good at doing that. It's been a very successful game of separation, but now it's time for it to end. So this planet is in a state of ascension and is currently vibrating at the lower levels of the astral plane. As part of the ascension process, all of the dimensions will be rolled up into the higher dimensions and will cease to exist. Because the planet is now vibrating at the level of the mid-astral plane, it's beginning to feel like a dream state for many of you. You're never quite sure if you are awake or asleep. Continuities are breaking down. There is the feeling that things can change as you hold them in your hand. The pen that you're writing with may become a hammer, and eventually, this lack of continuity will no longer bother you, just as it doesn't when you're dreaming. You'll be noticing that your dream states are changing, that as you wake up, you're not quite sure if you're awake. You will become lucid while you're dreaming, fully conscious in that state. You will be fully self-aware as you move back and forth between different realities, and all of them will feel equally real to you. It won't seem like there is only one true reality anymore. The 5th through 9th dimensions make up the mid-creation realm in the model that we use. The fifth is the light body dimension, in which you are aware of yourself as a master and a multidimensional being. In the fifth dimension, you are completely spiritually oriented. Many of you have come in from this plane to be light workers here. The sixth dimension holds the templates for the DNA patterns of all types of species creation, including humankind. It's also where the light languages are stored, and it is made up mostly of color and tone. It is the dimension where consciousness creates through thought, and one of the places where you work during sleep. It can be difficult to get a beat on this because you're not in a body unless you choose to create one. When you are operating sixth dimensionally, you are more of an alive thought. You create through your consciousness, but you don't necessarily have a vehicle for that consciousness in sixth dimension. The seventh dimension is that of pure creativity, pure light, pure tone, pure geometry, and pure expression. It is a plane of infinite refinement, and it is the last plane where you perceive of yourself as individual. The eighth is the dimension of group mind or group soul, and is where you would touch base with the vaster part of who you are. It is characterized by loss of sense of the I. When you travel multidimensionally, this is the plane where you would have the most trouble keeping your consciousness together, because you are pure we instead of I. We operating with group goals. So it might seem as though you've gone to sleep or blanked out. In the model that we use, the ninth dimension is the plane of the collective consciousness of planets, star systems, galaxies, and dimensions. If you visit this dimension, it can be difficult to remain conscious. Once again, it's very difficult to get a sense of I, because you are so vast that everything is you. Imagine being the consciousness of a galaxy. Every life form, every star, planet, and group mind of every species in it is within you, in the ninth dimension. The 10th through 12th dimensions make up the upper creation realm. The 10th is the source of the rays, home of what are called the Elohim. This is where new plans of creation are designed and then sent out into the mid-creation levels. You can have a sense of I at this level, but it won't be at all what you're used to in third dimension. The 11th dimension is that of pre-formed light, the point before creation and a state of exquisite expectancy, just like the moment before a sneeze or an orgasm. It is the realm of the being known as Metatron, and of archangels and other akashics for this source system. There are planetary akashic records and galactic akashics, as well as the akashic for an entire source system. You are in one source system, this one. And if you go to another source system, what you will experience will be different. As an archangel, my home base is the 11th dimension. The 12th dimension is the one point, where all consciousness knows itself to be utterly one with all that is. There is no separation of any kind. If you tap into this level, you know yourself to be completely one with all that is, with the creator force. If you tap in there, you will never be the same again, because you cannot sustain the same degree of separation if you have experienced complete unity. Your bodies. So in the old world, you have a physical body, and most people's reaction to that physical body is one of it being an enemy, an adversary. After all, it is what you experience karmic limitation through. So most people have this feeling, if I didn't have a body, I wouldn't be experiencing all this limitation. There can be a total denial that the body itself has a consciousness, and that this consciousness's purpose is to serve you and to serve spirit. So the physical body walks around most of the time feeling denied and abused because you say, well, I don't want to experience karma through you, and therefore I'm not going to pay any attention to what you tell me. I'm not going to feed you what you want to eat. I'm not going to let you play in any of the ways that you want to play. You do all of these odd things to your bodies. If you think about it, most of you have a love-hate relationship with your body. It's too fat, it's too tall, it's too wide, it's too bald, it's too curly, it's too long, it's too short. So most of you have this sort of relationship with the physical. You also have something which we call an etheric blueprint. And most of you, if you perceive on an etheric level, perceive this body at about a 1/2 inch away from your skin. It also exists within you. This body holds structures that are 7th, 6th, 5th, and 4th dimensional. Now we're going to explain that. We're talking in terms of dimensions. You are currently in 3rd dimension. The 4th dimension in our model is the astral level. This is where the majority of your karmic patterning is stored within the etheric body. It sets up the motions that go on in the other energy bodies, which bring you karmic experiences. It also works to keep your DNA functioning at limited survival-based levels by inhibiting the amount of light your physical body can absorb. Then you have the 5th dimensional light body structure, which lies dormant. And in that structure are something we call etheric crystals. These crystals block certain flows and prevent that body from activating too early. The 5th dimensional etheric blueprint is made up of an axiotonal meridian system, an axial circulatory system, and spin points through which these systems and structures are connected. As part of the game of separation, the human axiotonal meridians were cut off from direct connection with the overself and other star populations. This created brain atrophy, aging, and death. Axiotonal lines are the equivalent of acupuncture meridians that can connect with the oversoul and resonant star systems. Through the axiotonal lines, a human body is directly reprogrammed by the overself into a new body of light. Axiotonal lines exist independently of any physical body or biological form. They emanate various star systems and are the means by which the galactic body controls its renewing mechanisms. Picture the Milky Way as the body of a living conscious being. The stars and planets are organs in that body. All the different species on the stars and planets are like cells in the organs of the galactic body, renewing the energies of the organs and cells. Planet Earth and her inhabitants were separated from the galactic body and the oversoul to play this game of separation, and are now being reconnected. The axiotonal lines are made of light and sound. The functions of the office of the Christ are necessary to restructure the axiotonal meridians in the human body. Once reconnection has occurred, the overself transmits the appropriate color and tone frequencies to regenerate the physical body into a light body. The axiotonal lines lie along the acupuncture meridians and connect into some of them by means of the spin points. Spin points are small, spherical vortexes of electromagnetic energy that feel like they are on the skin surface. There are also spin points in every cell of the body. These cellular points emit sound and light frequencies, which spin the atoms of the molecules in the cell at a faster rate. Through the increased molecular spin, light fibers are created, which set up a grid for cellular regeneration. The axial circulatory system was completely vestigial in the human species due to the axiotonal lines being disconnected so that this game could be played. It is a fifth-dimensional energy system that connects the spin points on the skin surface to every spin point in every cell. It is a model for physical transmutation, and it is being renewed now that the axiotonal lines are reconnected. The axial system pulses energy like the circular system pulses blood. But the axial system is basically electrical in nature, like the nervous system. The overself sends energy into the axiotonal line, which then goes into the spin points on the surface of the skin, feeding the physical acupuncture meridians and then the axial system. As the axial system receives energy from the oversoul, it recombines color and sound to realign the blood, lymph, endocrine, and nervous systems into the divine template. The atom, Kadmon. It also carries the energy from the overself into the spin points inside the cells. This stimulates the spin points to emit sound and light to create a grid work for the renewed evolution of humankind. The sixth dimensional structure holds templates or patterns that are set for the formation of matter and light bodies. It is where the entire DNA encodement is held. So you have this sixth dimensional template that determines what is in your DNA and the shape of your physical form. Lightworkers carry bits of genetic material from the various species which live on the 383 ascending planets. The seventh dimensional structures are for embodiment of divinity. They act as an interface between the physical or astral bodies of a given species and its divine blueprint. The atom Kadmon is the divine form from which all sentient species forms emanate. Therefore, it is inclusive of myriad forms. The seventh dimensional structures are very flexible, differing from individual to individual. Preset thresholds within the structure and within the third and fourth dimensional bodies create a ceiling on how much the oversouls can interface with and embody in any given species. So before activation of the bodies to light, if you were walking around this planet, you were mostly aware of the fourth dimensional patterning in your bodies. The next body in this model is what we call the emotional body. The emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual bodies are made up of double tetrahedrons. If you look at them fifth dimensionally, they have certain specific rates of spin. In the emotional body, you have all of these wonderful stuck places. And all they are is geometry that happens not to be moving in a coherent fashion. That incoherent motion is caused by the fourth dimensional structures in the etheric blueprint. So you sit on emotion, that's part of the karmic game. In this game, you are taught to not express. Expressing is dangerous. If you cannot express, you will lock down those wonderful geometries in that field. What happens is you bop along until you run into someone with a complementary stuck point. Your little geometries lock, And there you are, doing a karma. You're stuck. And you're stuck until it is complete and they get themselves unjammed. You experience this as limitation. You experience this as discomfort. And you experience this as, why the hell am I here? That is hilarious and true. The mental body is also made of geometries. This body's function is to determine your reality. It believes that it's in control. It believes that it is running the show. It isn't. But its whole job is to determine what is, quote, real, unquote. It determines how the universe recreates itself in your life. So by determining what's real, it keeps you stuck in the karma game. There is nothing the mental body hates more than change. Nothing. Because if you change what you're doing now, you may not survive in the future. It keeps maintaining a reality that it thinks will keep you alive. Whether it works or not. It doesn't give a flying fig over whether you're happy or satisfied in any way. It is set there to maintain. The natural state of all that is unified within itself. The amount of energy it takes to maintain the illusion of separation is absolutely incredible. It takes so much more energy than to simply let go. That's part of the reason why the mental body was developed to be so strong. The easiest way to maintain the illusion of separation was to have the mental body declare everything it cannot see as not real. So it screens out all the impulses coming from your spirit. The spiritual body, the next one out, is also made of the same double tetrahedrons, and is, for the most part, ignored in your karma game. Its original design is to connect you to your oversoul, your Christ oversoul, and to the I Am presence. Obviously, the spiritual body is underused in a karma game. It just sits out there and those connections are not made. The spiritual body brings through impulses and information from your own spirit, which then hit up against a mental body that says, that's not real. When the emotional body picks up hints from spirit, instead of trying to express them, it just shuts down. And you keep repeating this entire cycle of limitation and separation, because this entire game was based on the illusion of separation from spirit. That's what it was all about. Your chakras. The other things that shift function are your chakra systems. Most of you are aware of chakras. You have a total of 14 major chakras that exist multidimensionally. 7 within your physical body, 7 outside your body, plus the alpha and omega chakras. Most people see or feel chakras as radiant, spinning energy sources. But chakras also have a 6th dimensional internal structure. Under the karma game, the structure of the 7 embodied chakras was deliberately limited so that they could only transduce energy from the astral plane. They were sealed. With this limited blueprint, a chakra looks like 2 cones. One of the cones opens out towards the front of the body. The other one opens out towards the back. Where their narrowed points touch in the center of the body, they are sealed so that they remain in this configuration. This narrow part of the center tends to be clogged with mental and emotional debris, causing the spin of the cone to slow down or stop. This starves the acupuncture meridian system of energy and can cause illness or death. This type of chakra structure can only move energy front to back or back to front, and cannot utilize higher dimensional frequencies. When the Lightbody process is activated, the seals in the center points are broken. The chakra structure gradually opens up from the center until the chakras is spherical in shape. This allows the chakra to radiate energy in all directions and begin to transduce frequencies from the higher dimensions. The body sheds the collected karmic debris, and the spherical blueprint makes it impossible for any more to collect. The spheres keep expanding in size until all the chakras merge as one unified field of energy. Each of the upper chakras, the non-embodied ones, have a different geometric blueprint structure. One that is appropriate for transducing the specific dimensional or oversoul frequencies associated with the chakra. The 8th and 11th chakras also contain flat, crystalline templates that the galactic axiotonal lines pass through. These templates are used by the oversoul to modulate the star influences on one's physical body. Once one's axiotonal meridians are reconnected, the oversoul recalibrates the axiotonal lines and the axial circulatory system through the 8th chakra. Therefore, the 8th chakra acts as the master control for the mutation of the body's systems and the merging of the energy bodies. Until recently, the alpha and omega chakras have been vestigial in the human body type. Even though the alpha and omega chakras are energy centers, they have a completely different type of blueprint and function than that of the other chakras. They are finely tuned energy regulators for electric, magnetic, and gravitational waves, as well as serving as anchors for the 7th dimensional etheric blueprint. The alpha chakra is 6 to 8 inches above and about 2 inches forward from the center of your head. It connects you to your immortal body of light in the 5th dimension. The omega chakra is about 8 inches below the end of your spine and connects you to the planet as a hologram, as well as to your entire holographic grid of incarnations. Unlike the 4th dimensional karmic matrix, this is a completely non-karmic type of connection. The 8th chakra is 7 to 9 inches above the exact center of your head. Above the alpha chakra, there is a column of light about 4 inches in diameter that extends from your 8th chakra down through the center of your body, through the embodied chakras to about 8 inches below your feet. This column supports a tube of light, about 1 3/4 inches in diameter, which runs down the exact center of the entire length of the column. When the alpha and omega chakras are open and operating correctly, you will experience something called the waves of Metatron, moving through the inner column of light. These magnetic, electric, and gravitational waves oscillate back and forth between the alpha and omega chakras, which regulate the wave's amplitude and frequency. These waves stimulate and support the flow of pranic life force energy in the smaller tube of light. The waves of Metatron also assist in coordinating the physical body's mutation to the pre-existing template of your immortal body of light. As the embodied chakras open into their spherical structure, grids are laid down which connect the chakras directly into spin points on the skin's surface, thereby connecting the chakras directly into the new axiotonal and axial systems. By connecting the chakra grids into the axiotonal lines, the chakras are hooked up into higher evolutionary, universal resonance grids and wave motions. This assists the chakras and the emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies to merge into one unified energy field. This unified field then receives the oversoul bodies and moves in synchrony with universal waves and pulses. This whole new system then transmits these waves and pulses through the spin points into the axial circulatory system to recalibrate the pulses and flows of bodily fluids. Now, in a karma game, since you are in a state of separation from spirit and living in a state of limitation, and you're alienated from your physical body, that usually means that you're not in your body. If you are not in your body, you cannot activate the heart chakra. If you cannot activate your heart chakra, the chakras which are operating predominantly are the base chakra, the navel chakra, and the solar plexus chakra. All of your interactions are coming out of instinctive terror, karmic patterning, power, lust, greed, or sheer ego-centered power interactions with people. So you don't get to have a higher interaction until you are fully in your body. And of course, the upper non-embodied chakras are not activated at all. In March 1988, all of what we call Lightworkers were activated to at least first level light body on this planet. On April 16th, 1989, the entire crystalline structure of matter and every inhabitant on this planet was activated to third level light body. Now, this is not an optional process. Everyone is experiencing this. Lots of people are leaving the planet because they don't want to do this in this lifetime. You can choose to do this process in any lifetime you have ever had, in any parallel reality. So don't feel that we're losing people. It's okay. They're just not prepared to do this in this lifetime. All right, that concludes the portion that we are going to read for this episode. So much information. Again, it is okay if you did not understand with the mind everything that they were talking about. Spirit knows everything. Your spirit completely understands and is like, yep, I know, I've got it, I'm ready, we're here, let's fucking go. Like, light me up, Scotty. And I love that. It was so much information, and even just rereading it to all of you guys, I felt like I understood it better than the first time I read all of it by myself. So re-listening to this again, or even picking up the book and reading it with your own eyes and just allowing yourself to remember all of this information. On the part 2 of the episode, we're going to read through all 12 stages of the light body, and we're going to read some of the Q&A that they answered as far as, Ascension symptoms and tips and things that you can do while you are going through the Ascension and activating your light body. I do want to take a moment and point out what I believe are some of the most important points from this section, and that was, number 1, if your heart chakra is not activated, then you are not releasing yourself from the karmic game. It's so incredibly important, and I do this in all of my activations. I have an activation called the Crystalline Heart activation, where we activate all 3 layers of the heart chakra, and we really open it and start to get that energy flowing, starting to release you from the karmic game so that you can feel relief and so that you can focus on your mission. The other thing I think is so important is that they talk about the emotional body and how it is made up of all geometry. You guys have heard me talk about this before, especially on YouTube. I have the higher light commands, And I tell you in there at the beginning that the higher light commands are rearranging your fractal geometry so that you can flow more easily. And that fractal geometry is in your emotional body. When you are stuck in the karmic game, you have stuck points in that geometry, where the galactics would say the geometry is either corrupted or it's all backwards. And so what they do is they reorganize it and rearrange it back into divine perfection, which are their words. So divine perfection would be you back in that flow state. Now everything is flowing through the emotional body and you feel that you can express yourself. What Ariel is saying is that in your world, expression is considered dangerous, and if you cannot express, you will lock down those geometries in their corrupted form, and you will continue to run into karmic interactions based on the stuck points. The stuck points literally call someone to you with a complementary stuck point, and the two of you go at it until one of you fully expresses and allows the geometry to release and to go back into divine perfection. And then lastly, I want to go back to the part where they talk about, the all that is a unified state of being. And that's your natural state of being. The amount of energy it takes to maintain the illusion of separation is absolutely incredible, because you are literally going with such force in the opposite direction of who you are in order to play the karmic game. It takes so much energy, so much more energy than to simply let go. And the reason why that is so hard for us to just let shit go, to just let it all go, to let go of your attachments, to let go of all of the meaning that you have assigned to all of these areas of your life, to the things you own, to the relationships, to the way that person texted you, to the person who didn't like your photo, to the person who didn't call you back. All of that meaning that we assign to everything gets us totally stuck, moving in the opposite direction of highest truth, the truth of who we are, the all that is. And it takes so much more energy. It is so time-consuming, brain-consuming, and energy-draining to hold on to everything in your life. That's why you're exhausted. That is why you are sick. That is why you have an autoimmune disease. All of those things. That is why you have illnesses. That is why you are tired. That is why you are getting headaches. All of these symptoms, the negative ones that we experience during Ascension, is because of those stuck points, because of what we are holding on to, because of the meaning that we have assigned to everything in our life, and we hold on to that meaning as if it is our lifeline, when in truth, it's actually killing us. It is activating the part of separation that leads you to aging and to death. Holding on is literally killing you. That's what it was designed to do in the karmic game, because you had to hold on to this reality so tightly through the mental body. She even says it. That's why we developed the mental body to be so strong. It had to convince you that this was real and that spirit was not real. It had to convince you that you were here and not a part of the galaxy and the cosmos and your oversoul and all other incarnations. It had to be really fucking powerful. And now you have to be really fucking powerful to start letting it go. This is why feminine energy and the embodiment of feminine energy has become such a huge talking point and energy healing modality for starseeds and lightworkers, because the feminine energy says we relax. When you are relaxed, you are much more likely to let go. If you are letting go, you are much more likely to rearrange some of that geometry and to enter into a flow point. You are much more likely to allow more of your oversoul to start conducting its work through you, that we are right in the middle of. I mean, there's no getting out of it. You are here right in the middle of Ascension. You're going to hear all of the 12 stages of Lightbody and you're going to be like, I am so much further than I thought that I actually was. That was my experience reading it. And I think that you're going to find that too. But these are really, really important things to understand about your body and about your energy, especially if you are feeling a lot of the physical symptoms. You've got to clear the energy, right? They talked so much about the axiotonal lines, which is another way of saying the meridian system. This is why I teach EFT tapping, especially in the happiness code, where EFT tapping, we're literally unblocking those axiotonal lines, the meridian system. We're literally unblocking that stuck geometry. We're releasing, we're letting go, we're allowing more light to fill us, more light to fill us, more light to fill us. And the more light that we have, the more that we start to unify our field, the more you are reunited with the truth of who you really are. That's when your life goes into flow. That's when you're in instant creation. That's when you start to feel like, I remember why I am here. And now I can actually do that which I am called to do. And you are called by your oversoul, literally by yourself. You are called to do this work to help and support in the ascension in the ways that your soul wants to participate. So if there was any one message that I hope that you take away from this, it's I've got to start letting go of everything. Let go of all the meaning, let go of all the things that you might be upset about. Stop assigning meaning to everything. We talk about this in my free masterclass, Law of Attraction. I spent the first half hour just setting you free of all of the attachment, of all of the meaning, of all of the not understanding how spirit is literally electromagnetic energy, and you cannot create anything in this reality, which means that you cannot hold on to anything in this reality. You don't take any of it with you. All that you do is hold on to it while you're here until it accelerates the aging process and causes the death initiation so that spirit is released from this dimension. But the aging process, the death process, that is not our highest truth. Yes, we will leave this incarnation someday, but it does not have to be the old way. It does not have to be through a very painful aging process filled with different illnesses until we're literally on our deathbed and can barely move, and then we leave because the body is completely done. I don't know if you've noticed this, but people look younger than they ever have before. They are already not aging the same way that they did 20 and 30 years ago. We live on a new earth. We live in a new time. All of this information was channeled 30 years ago. We have so much support and energy and light entering into the field at all times that there's absolutely no reason for us to not be on an accelerated path of ascension, to be healing our bodies through energy, to be unifying our fields, to be clearing out any of that stuck energy, to be manifesting and creating through vibration, electromagnetic energy, attract, repel, release, let go, attract again into you that which you desire to experience. And the truth is, you have never created anything inside of this reality anyway. Nothing. You are energy. You did not create anything here. All that you see and perceive around you is energy densified and held there by your divine will. My divine will is holding my computer in this image in front of me to function in the way that I desire it to inside of this reality. It's not actually real. It's not actually from this dimension. It's energy. It's from the all that is. And that's where you are from as well. So I hope that this was inspiring and illuminating, and I will be reading on part 2, all 12 stages of the Lightbody, and you can start to pinpoint which stages you think that you've already been through and whereabouts you think that you are right now. This book came to me right when I was going through a transition into a new stage And I'll share more about that during the part 2 episode. But it came at the perfect time. And I think that if you're receiving this information right now, it's because you're entering into a new stage of your own light body awakening. If you know someone who would be intrigued by this episode, please share it with them. Share it with your friends. Share it with others who are also light workers, and allow them to be reawakened and reactivated by this information. Beautiful beings of divine light, you already know that I will see you on the next one.